Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon or good evening. This is a virtual event, and all of us are joining in from different time zones. And hopefully, it's been a wonderful event so far, and I'm sure there's a lot more coming. Before I start talking about building digital competency, I just want to congratulate the entire organizers of this event. It's a wonderful event that everybody's put together. There's a lot we are going to learn today, a lot to hear, and I'm really excited to be a part of this. So I am Sonali. I'm a founder at Excelize. We are a BIM consulting company based out of India. We have offices in Aurangabad in India and in Qatar and in the US. We've been working as BIM consultants for a very long time. And there's a lot of learnings that we have over this period, and which is what I'm going to talk about today. We've seen a lot of buzzwords in the last few years: digitization, digitalization, digital transformation, digital integration. And to do all of this, it's essential that there be digital competency. Without having the people and the resources who are going to implement the transition and the transformation that we want, we cannot achieve anything. And that is what I'm going to talk about as Excelize, what we have done since we've been working on this area for quite a few years. What is it that we are doing is what I'm going to share with everybody today. So essentially, I'm going to talk about what we or I mean as digital competency. What is it that we do? What skills do we need? How do we build this digital competency? Why it's important to us? And then what are the benefits that we've got out of doing the entire exercise of building this digital competency? So let's start with what we do and who we are. We are a BIM consulting company, 18 years since we started. I am myself an architect with almost 30 years of experience in the industry. We are a niche company in terms of the size that we are, but we've done a lot of work in almost all sectors, from institutional, industrial, warehouses, residential, everything that we can think about. There is some project that we worked on. We worked on right from building BIM implementation plans to models to doing 4D, 5D. So essentially, what that means is we need a lot of skills within our team to do anything that our clients may need, not just today, but in the future. And so it's very important for us to build our own skills and be digitally competent. But besides digital competency, there are some other key competencies also, like teamwork or decision making, communication, problem solving, leadership. And some of these skills can be taught as an education. Some of these can be learned by doing it. And some of these are just you're born with it. It's natural for you to do that. Like communication, you can teach somebody how to communicate only to a certain level. You have to have the ability to want to talk to each other. Somebody who's a really silent person may not be very good at communication. Also, when it comes to decision making, you cannot be essentially taught decision making in a college or a school. You learn this by doing things, and that's how even the leadership grows. So all these are competencies which are essential in the working that we do. And these are also essential when we look at digital competency. So what is digital competency? Essentially, it's a combination of knowledge, skill, and attitude that helps us perform tasks using technology tools, that helps us solve problems, that helps us manage information and collaborate. So digital competency is not just a skill that we learn. We need to have some knowledge to apply it. We need to have the attitude that lets us think and motivates us to use these tools efficiently. And then we have to be able to communicate. A lot of tools talk to each other, and that is also communication. So how can all this be done as part of Excelize and as part of the team that we are building is what I'm going to talk about. So when we say we want to have people work with us, what skills are we looking for in the people who work with us? Definitely, education is an important factor. Typically, we want to have people who have some kind of technical background. Either they're architects, they're engineers, or they have done some construction management. A lot of certifications are available now, and some of those can be also things that we look for. Um, Practical experience is also important. If you worked on the field, you understand how things work together. And typically, when we are also weighing a person against education and practical experience, we can balance it out that lack of education can be compensated by practical experience. Software skills are important, but not mandatory. Depending at what position you're going to be part of starting at Excelize, the software skills is flexible. And we do need softwares that are non-BIM softwares also. It's not just BIM softwares that we look at. Soft skills, like I mentioned earlier, these are some of the key competencies that all of us look for. So you need to have some kind of exposure to managing some teams or doing presentations, project documentation, because these are tasks that are required to be done for various roles within Excelize. So why it is important for us to build digital competency? Like I mentioned earlier, we are a BIM consulting company, and so we are working with clients globally. And for us, it's important to work smarter. We have to work efficiently. We cannot do just what is prescribed. We need to do more. And we have to get things done right first time. Um, Too much of rework, mistakes built will just add to more delays in our deliverables and builds in inefficiencies. We are looking at the future, and so we are definitely exploring new tools and anticipating how we can be ready to use those tools. And definitely, there's a lot of competitive challenges that we need to be aware of and are part of and be prepared for. And so it's very necessary for us to be relevant. So the whole competency of a person is not just limited to doing one task or two tasks, but they have to be able to do everything that they can do and want to do also. Now, when we start building our digital competency, we start at various levels within the organization. So we have an internship program where we take young people or whoever is in the graduate programs, undergrad programs, and are still in college and looking for internships or looking for exposure to work. Once they've hired as an intern, they go through a separate internship program to help them be part of the Excelize team. Then there is people who have come in at different levels within the organization. For them, we have a special program that we do, which is like an induction for them to learn what we do, how we do. And once you're part of the Excelize team, there is cross-skilling and upskilling. And all of this is driven by our BIM Center of Excellence. This is a team of people who work towards conducting all these activities and also helping the efficiency of the team within the organization. And I'll talk more about this later on in my presentation. So when we start with interns, essentially the way we do it is we offer free training to the local technical institutes in their campuses sometimes, sometimes in our office. Then we offer them paid short-term internships, which can get converted into jobs if they want to. Why this is important for us, not just a CSR activity, but it's our location. The location is a benefit and a challenge for us also. In this case, the having a pipeline of people whom we can hire from locally is much more beneficial for us because people from bigger cities don't want to come to where we are necessarily at an entry level. And so this internship program helps build our pipeline. We usually start this in the final year of education. And like I mentioned earlier, it's either in their campus or we do the training in our offices. It can be a combination of a virtual and a practical training, and I mean an in-house training. And we definitely don't give exposure only to using the tool. We're not teaching just how to use the software. We are giving them exposure to some projects that we've either worked on before for them to get an understanding of how to apply the tool in a practical scenario. And that's how they will learn how to find workarounds and start enjoying what they're doing. Once the internships are done, if we hire them, they don't get into this induction program. But somebody who we've just hired and has not worked with us before, we like to do an induction program for them. For them, we first do a gap assessment, also try to understand their areas of interest. What are the tools or what are the areas that are challenging for them, or what are the challenges they face? Not just in terms of the tools, but in terms of the work that they do. This is done for everybody who is going to be a part of our team. It's usually spread over 2-3 months in the beginning for when they hire, and then it's an ongoing team effort throughout their time at Excelize. Why we do this is we want to give them an introduction to the Excelize way of working. Every client has their own standards that they want us to implement. And so it's important for us to also give them exposure to that. We are using an online portal to do some of the training, but there is also in-person training we do. And through the training, we give them exposure not just to the projects we are doing, but also to the global best practices that we've learned over working on multiple projects for so many years. Once we have a team which has been with us for 3 years, 2 years, however long that duration is, we do a continuous comprehensive education for them. So everybody has KRAs that they have to work with. And for that, we just don't leave it to them to figure out what they want to do. Here also, we understand what is the market requirement. We understand what is their area of interest. And when it is done, it's not like you come in for a 2-day training and the training is done. It's spaced out, it's self-paced. It's usually a quarterly schedule that's published that say, I want to learn how to implement Pvt, and there'll be a schedule that on this day, this class is available, and so somebody signs up for it. Essentially, this is their roadmap for growth. And so it's very important for us that everybody does some amount of upskilling and cross-skilling. Along with that, we also encourage everybody to do certifications, which is an individual growth plan. It's not necessary for the organization. We are also doing a session, a series of expert talks where we get in people from the industry who worked on site, or it's a contractor who's installed, can tell you that, yeah, I need so much clearance when I'm installing a duct. And so when you're resolving a clash, you need to keep that. So that kind of practical exposure is also available to our team on an ongoing basis. The most important factor of all this is the BIM Center of Excellence. These are the people who are actually doing all this training to the different people within the organization. They are the ones who coordinate all the efficiency tools that we are working on. So primarily, they are exploring new tools. because we want to look at what's coming in the future and what our clients are asking and fill those gaps. We are looking at new tools. We are looking at tips and tricks to do work faster. If there's any process improvement that can be done by some dynamo scripting or some custom tools that have to be developed, these people work on that. They're also setting up different standards that clients require and ensuring that if there is a requirement for a 19650 compliance, we meet those. They look into all the quality work that gets set up. So they set up the templates and the team uses that. Similarly, any external certification is needed. If a person needs training, they help connect the people so training can be done internally or out, externally. Now, how has this benefited us and our team? I mean, I've talked about a lot of things that we are doing, right from an internship and an induction and ongoing training, why we've done it. Like I mentioned earlier, location is an advantage and a challenge for us because we are doing all of this and the world is I mean, in the BIM space in India, a lot of people are aware of this, not at the entry level, but at different levels within the organization, within the fraternity, we can hire people. Our onboarding process is interesting enough, and that's what gets a lot of people through the door. We've not been affected by the great resignation post-COVID. We have a very low attrition rate. Our average employee duration is between 6 to 8 years. Because we are working on projects globally, the kind of exposure that everybody gets, that also benefits them. Having a personal roadmap for growth is another reason why it's very focused and structured and people want to work with us. We are not just making people like work in one area. The ability to work across different roles, from being just a person who is a BIM engineer to a team leader, or being a project manager to BD support, to being part of the BIM Center of Excellence. There's multiple opportunities. And this multi-dimensional role, you can do multiple things at one time, is what also excites people. And all this is what is benefiting us. And I think that has contributed to our success so far. I personally believe that our people are our strength and our team is our strength. And through this whole exercise, we are building their digital competency. We are having a personal growth plan for them, but also at the same time, Excelize as an organization is benefiting from this. So we've started this journey. There's a long way to go. And I hope that whatever we are doing, we learn more from it and keep growing and open to new ways of doing things as we grow. So thank you, everybody, for taking the time to listen to what I had to say. If there's any questions, feel free to ask them now. If you want to drop an email, that's fine too. Thank you, everybody.